Hi everyone, this is M.Alfur.leadershipWala, and I welcome you all to my new video, Sesame video. And today we are going to ask some questions uh, with to Maya about understanding emotional intelligence, what it is and why it's matter. So I hope you guys like it, and we are going to start.
Hey,
Hi Maya, how are you? Hello Maya, can you hear me?
yep, I can hear you clearly now. How's it going?
Everything is fine. So today we are going to discuss about understanding emotional intelligence, what it is and why it's matter. Are you ready?
Totally. Emotional intelligence. That's a good one to dive into. It's way more important than people realize, honestly. What exactly are you hoping to cover about it today?
Well, maybe basic self awareness and self regulation. And my first question is, what is emotional intelligence?
Okay, so at its core, emotional intelligence, or EQ, is basically being able to recognize your own emotions and other people's, and then using that info to navigate relationships and make good decisions. It's not just about being nice or sensitive, it's about understanding how emotions fuel behavior. So, like, knowing why you get irritated in certain situations or reading the room when someone is upset, even if they aren't saying it out loud. It's practical, not just touchy feely.
Okay, and who was it? Sorry, who introduced the concept of emotional intelligence? Sorry about this one.
No worries. It's a fair question. The term emotional intelligence, as we use it today, really became popular with psychologist Daniel Goleman in his 1995 book of the same name. But it actually goes back further. Psychologists like Peter Salovey and John Mayer did a lot of the earlier foundational research in the early 90s, basically figuring out that emotional stuff is actually measurable cognitive ability. Goleman just packaged it in a way that really grabbed people's attention.
Okay, and what are the main component of emotional intelligence?
So Goleman broke it down into five components: self awareness, self regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Self awareness is knowing what you feel and why. Self regulation is managing those feelings. Motivation is using your emotions for goals. Empathy is understanding others' emotions. And social skills is handling relationships well. Each one builds on the other. Like, you can't really regulate if you're not aware to begin with. Make sense?
Hmm, I think you're right. And my next question is, how is emotional intelligence different from IQ?
That's a big one. IQ, your intelligence quotient, measures things like logic, reasoning, memory, and spatial skills, basically your cognitive horsepower. EQ, though, measures your ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle emotions. IQ predicts academic success and job performance to some degree, but EQ actually predicts things like leadership potential, relationship success, even physical health better than IQ does. IQ is kind of your raw brain power, and EQ is how well you can apply it in the real world with other people.
Okay, and my next question is, what is the emotional intelligence important in daily life? Why is?
Is huge. On a basic level, it makes relationships way easier. Knowing how to read people, calm down when you're stressed, or motivate yourself when you're dragging makes everything from work to friendship smoother. But beyond that, studies show high EQ actually correlates with better mental health, less stress, more resilience to setbacks. Emotionally intelligent people make better decisions, can handle conflict more effectively, and honestly just have more fulfilling lives. Touches literally everything you do every day.
Okay, and my next question is, what does self-awareness means in emotional intelligence?
So, self awareness is like the foundation of everything else. It's really just knowing what you're feeling moment to moment and understanding why you feel that way. It's being honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses, not in a beating yourself up way, but just with clear eyed objectivity. It's about recognizing how your emotions affect your behavior too. So if you know that you tend to get defensive when criticized, that's self awareness. Being able to catch those things happening in real time so you can actually do something about them.
Okay, and how can you recognize your own emotions?
Good question. It's not always obvious. A lot of people kind of live on autopilot. Simple things help. Taking a pause when you're feeling strong emotions instead of just reacting immediately. Journaling can be huge. Even just asking yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? When you notice your physical reactions, heart racing, muscles tense, etc. Also, paying attention to your triggers. What kinds of situations consistently make you feel certain ways? Like, do certain people always manage to get under your skin? That's information.
Okay, and why is understanding your emotion important?
Because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Until you know what you're feeling, frustration, anxiety, excitement, whatever, it's controlling you, not the other way around. If you're running on autopilot and just reacting, you'll keep repeating the same patterns. But when you're aware of your emotions, you have a choice. Do I want to react with anger or can I respond thoughtfully? It gives you agency over your behavior, which is where real growth happens.
Okay, and how does self-awareness affect decision making?
Majorly. When you're self aware, you recognize that your emotions are influencing your decisions, even when you think they aren't. Like, are you saying yes to something because you genuinely want to or because you're afraid of letting someone down? Self awareness helps you see those underlying reasons, and then you can make better choices that align with your values and goals instead of just acting on impulse or emotion. Emotionally intelligent leaders talk about this constantly. Knowing your biases lets you make fairer calls.
Okay, and how can you control your emotional reactions?
That's where self regulation comes in. The goal isn't to suppress your emotions, but to manage how you respond to them. One thing that really works is the pause, that moment of taking a breath instead of immediately reacting when you're fired up. Also, reframing a situation instead of seeing something as a personal attack, seeing it as an opportunity to learn. The other thing I've heard that helps is practicing empathy. Trying to understand where the other person is coming from can diffuse a lot of tension. It's about managing the response, not erasing the feeling.
Okay, and why is managing stress
Why
important
is
for emotional intelligence?
right, good question. Managing stress is actually a huge part of emotional intelligence. When you're stressed, your emotional regulation goes out the window, right? You're more reactive, less able to think clearly. People with high EQ have developed coping mechanisms to handle stress effectively, whether it's through exercise, meditation, mindful breathing, or just knowing when to take a break. It's about recognizing stress as an emotional signal and addressing it before it spirals. Basically, good emotional intelligence helps you get ahead of stress instead of just letting it overwhelm you.
Okay, and what technique help improve emotional control? Like if I want to
Plenty of
control
things
my
work.
anger or I want to control my own happiness, love.
You can't really control. emotions like happiness or love, at least not directly. Emotional intelligence isn't about forcing yourself to feel a certain way. It's more about creating conditions where you're more likely to feel them. So, for happiness, that might mean cultivating gratitude, intentionally noticing the good things in your life. For love, it's about building genuine connections, practicing empathy, being a good listener. Self awareness helps you know what fills you up versus what drains you. Then self regulation helps you make choices that increase the good stuff and reduce the bad. It's more about skillful living than, emotional control. Make sense?
Okay, and how does self-regulation improve relationship?
Huge impact. When you can regulate your own emotions, you're not constantly taking your stress or bad mood out on others. That leads to less conflict, more trust, and way better communication. Self regulation helps you listen to understand instead of listening to respond, manage disagreements without blowing up, and really show up for people.
Yeah,
Basically,
and what?
makes you predictable. Good way. People know what they're going to get with you instead of being on edge waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Are you done? I can ask question.
No, we're not done if you're not ready. You're in the middle of telling me something. What's happening?
How can emotional intelligence help in achieving long-term goals?
Yeah, that's a good one to circle back to. Emotional intelligence fuels your long term goals because it's all about persistence, resilience, and motivation. If you're emotionally aware, you'll know what truly motivates you beyond just wanting a result. You'll be better at handling setbacks, disappointment doesn't become defeat. When things get hard, you can self regulate enough to keep going instead of getting discouraged. Plus, EQ helps you build stronger relationships that support your journey, mentors, collaborators, people who'll hold you accountable. So it's not just about personal drive, but also knowing how to leverage other people.
Okay, and what role does passion play in emotional intelligence?
Passion is actually huge for emotional intelligence. It's like that motivation component we talked about earlier. When you're passionate about something, that genuine feeling fuels motivation, creativity, and persistence. It also helps with self awareness. When you care deeply about something, you become more attuned to how you feel about it. The downside is that strong passion can also lead to emotional reactivity. So, EQ helps balance the passion, letting it drive you forward instead of blinding you with bias.
Okay, and how can you develop empathy towards other?
Empathy doesn't just happen overnight, it's actually a skill you can practice. First step, listening without interrupting, truly trying to understand their perspective instead of planning what you're going to say next. Second, actively try to see the world through their eyes. What might they be experiencing right now? Third, reflect back what you hear. So it sounds like you're feeling it shows you're actually listening and understanding. Also, look for common humanity. Recognize that even if their situation is totally different from yours, you both share basic human emotions like sadness, frustration, joy.
And how does empathy improve communication?
Because when you empathize, you don't just talk AT someone, you actually connect with them. You can tailor your message to resonate with what they're actually feeling or needing instead of just making assumptions. You're less likely to say something that makes them shut down or get defensive. When people feel truly heard, they're way more open to hearing your side of things too. It creates this positive feedback loop where you're both working together instead of against each other. Empathy builds trust and makes conversations way more productive.
Okay, and thanks it. Uh, you have in my
You're welcome.
question, and that's it from my side. everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Allah Hafiz.
Take care, Alfur. Glad we could dive into emotional intelligence today.